Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and I'm here with a new video for today. Today we'll be continuing the 1e4 series as usual and we'll probably be finishing it today. So from next week we might start off with 1d4. So let's see how it goes. If time permits we shall finish it today. First of all, as usual, let's see what we're gonna do today. So let's just open this. What we will do today. Yeah, just a second. Thank you. Yeah. So continue with 1e4 openings. Go through some extra ideas in 1e4 from both perspectives, like black and white, some basic kind of moves, style of moves which they can play, and learn chess.com features which we always do. So that's it. Let's see. As usual, when we study openings, where we go is we go to Explorer and e4. Yeah, so we're studying e4. Then I have already taught you, c5 and e5 and various different responses to e5. So if you haven't seen them, you can see them. I'll link them in the description. So this was the main idea. So today we'll be looking at e6, d6, c6 in not that much detail. Maybe even knight f6 and some other stuff I'll be telling you later. So let's see, e5, e4. After c5 and e5, the most popular is e6. So we'll play e6. Sorry about that. This is the French defense. So now black is allowing you to get control of the center by playing d4 and gaining control of the four important central squares. So you play d4 and occupy the center, and black plays d5 challenging the center. This is the most popular line. Now here you have a couple of moves. You have e5, which is preferred if you want to play close games. It might transpose into some queen's gambit declined. You can play e takes d5, or the most popular move is knight to c3. Why? Because if you take the pawn, then I take back with my knight, getting a central knight, which is usually a good knight, which I've already taught you in my previous videos, which you can see by going to my channel. And mind you, after captures and captures, you can't capture this. You can't. Okay, wait. You can't capture this pawn because it's protected by the queen. So that's why knight to c3 is a good move. Developing, getting ready. So knight. Pawn takes e4, knight takes e4, and here there are a couple of moves that can be played actually. In fact, sometimes after knight c3, you don't always capture. Capture is not the most popular move. Bishop b4 and knight f6, which are again just developing. Knight f6 is just basically like allowing e5 and then going to knight e4. These are really complicated lines. Just go through the main lines, which is the Rubinstein variation. But here black might also play c5, basically trying to break through this and trying to avoid this capture. And capturing here is not a good idea because you lose e5 square, and bishop takes c5 will just give him development and attack the weak f2 square, as I've already said before. So after then captures, sometimes knight to f6. You don't want to exchange immediately. You can play bishop to e4. He might not want to exchange immediately either. He can just keep on developing, and then you go on with the usual principles, pinning this knight on this diagonal. He will come and pin you. And in French, black usually comes and gives this check. So yeah, these are the basic ideas for the French. And here in this position, if you play bishop b4, then notice black is actually threatening to capture. So if you play something stupid like say b3, okay, first of all the knight is hanging, but not b3. B3 is just too stupid. h3 suppose. He can just directly take. Notice you cannot capture back with the knight because it's going to be a check. So this is one pattern you should remember. If a knight is attacking a pawn, always make sure it is not pinned to the king or to the queen, because these are two pieces which you like literally cannot move your pieces which are in front of it, except Penyo Mikhail Tal. So this was the basic ideas for the French. And also you would notice if you play the French as black, your light square bishop gets very weak. You see, even if you develop it here with b6 and bishop b7, it's still very weak. So it's a good idea to play something like this and then something like this to just cement your pawn structure. In fact, there was a game recently in the Candidate tournament by Jan Nepomniachtchi against Maxim Vachier-Lagrave, I think. So if time permits, I'll show that as well. So let's see. So this was the main ideas for e4 for the French defense. So e4, and now let's look at c6. Yeah, is c6 the next popular? Yes, c6 is the next most popular move here. c6, d4, again just gaining control of the center. You have these four important squares, and these two just are your pieces, so nothing to be afraid of. d5 challenging the center, so here you have a couple of options. E d5, e5, knight to c3. Knight to c3 with the same idea. But note how it is different from the French because black cannot play bishop to b4 pinning your knight to the king. So d takes e4. Basically, black has to go for these exchanges. This is important. And here, attacking the bishop, attacking the knight. Knight can retreat, or knight can even play aggressive and go here. Bishop d3 is also a possible move, but bishop d3 loses to queen to d4. So that's why bishop d3 is not recommended. Uh, so the main two moves are these two, or if you play something like this, you still lose the pawn. So basically, the main ideas of this opening is you got to develop your knight here, and then like get some attack like this, or maybe something like this, and centralize your knights. So Caro-Kann is mostly a game for knights, but that does not mean Caro-Kann games do not feature the bishops. They definitely feature the bishops as well. So the main Caro-Kann usually leads to a closed game. Like if you see this position, this structure, it usually leads to some closed games. That does not mean Caro-Kann is not in open games. Obviously, there are exceptions everywhere. So this was the Caro-Kann defense. So in this position, why do you think Black will allow you to get a good? Why will Black allow you to get a good knight so that he can get rapid development himself? Yeah. So these were the basic ideas from the Caro-Kann defense. And so next, let's look at e4 and g6. So g6, this is a very popular structure which you see in a lot of your games. We bishop g7 and getting this diagonal. In fact, you as white can also play it, this way. So basically, the bishop which is on any of these, like if it's on this diagonal or on this diagonal, it's called fianchettoed, and it is the most powerful when it's here on this square because it's controlling so many squares. Sorry, not that. Yeah, it's controlling these squares. So basically, bishops in the center are the most powerful, and fianchettoed bishops are really powerful. So g6, giving away the control for the center temporarily. So d4 giving center, knight f3 protecting this pawn, even though it's already protected by the king. And so knight f6 is not actually played. Usually you play d6. D6 is to prevent e5 later on. So knight to c3, knight to f6, and here if e5 comes, you can exchange your queens. So here white would not like to play king d1 because it does not allow him to castle, and knight d1 is taking your knight back, so there's no point in playing it. That's why white usually avoids this line. So he might go for something like bishop to c4, black castles, and this game goes on. So what happens in the modern defense is usually white gets a good opening, good starting position, but black later can compensate through it via a lot of strong attack. You're controlling these many squares by as white in this position. I'll just show them again. See, you're controlling so many squares in the opponent's territory. You have complete control of this whole line. This whole line is under your control. So that's why modern defense is in the opening good for white, but later black will gain counterplay obviously by getting the d5, the e5 break at some point, developing knights here. Oh, and one more thing I just remembered, I had to show you in the Karo Khan. So silly of me. Karo Khan e4 c6 d4 d5 knight c3. This is our most usual line which is played. Here you can see 22,735 games played in this line, knight c3. Takes and takes, almost 20,000 games played like this. And here you might be tempted to develop rather than attacking this way. You might be tempted to develop your knights first, as I have taught you in your video. So in my video, earlier video, in my basic principles video. So this knight, can always come out this way, but this knight has a bit dim future, so you want to get it here, somewhere good. Let's see. So you get it here, and here white plays this astounding move, queen to e2. So if you remember, last time I had shown you similar trap in the Petrov. I'll just show it to you so that you remember again. Uh, so I showed you here e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, knight e4, knight e4, queen e2, and here if you go back, you lose your queen. Queen to e7, and here you lose the queen. There's no point playing in. So this was the Petrov trap I showed you. This is similar. You're getting this pin. What was the key in this Petrov trap? Okay, sorry, I just opened a new window. Yeah, the key in this Petrov trap is to give a double check, and in some sorts this knight is actually pinned. So we are going to use the pin here again. Pin is basically when there is a piece which is guarded by a stronger piece. There's a piece which is in front of a stronger piece, and there is a opponent piece attacking both of them. So I know it sounds a little bit confusing. I'll just show you what it means in an analysis board. So let's just set this up. So imagine you have as white you're playing as black. Suppose let's imagine you're black. White has a bishop here. You have a rook here. Just give white a king, and you have a king here. So it's black's turn. Let's just suppose you cannot move the rook anywhere. Why? Because if you move, it will be a check. So that move is not allowed. So this kind of a position is called a pin. So there are two kinds of pins: relative pin and absolute pin. Absolute pins are in front of the kings. Like even if black wants to, even if he can't sacrifice this king. But suppose black had a queen here instead of his king. He can just move the rook, which is sacrificing the queen. It may be a blunder or a well calculated sacrifice. So where you are not in situations where you are not forced to pin, it's called a relative pin. Only pins against the king are known as absolute pins. So even rooks can give pins like this. So the rook's pin. So rooks, queens, and bishops can give pins. So basically, this focuses on the pin. This is an like kind of absolute pin. If we remove this knight, it will be an absolute pin. Similarly, here this is an absolute pin. If we remove the knight, this pawn is pinned to the king. So here you play queen to e2, and here black decides to get rid of this nice knight, and develop as well. Knight to d6 is checkmate. You can't capture because of this pin. So that is why this queen to e2 move is so important. Black has just smothered himself with his own pieces, and that's why this position is a checkmate. It's a sneaky opening trap which you do want to watch out for. So back to Fianchetto's modern defense. G6 is the modern defense. You can play G3 yourself, going for some bishop G2 ideas. But usually what I suggest is when black is fianchettoing his bishop like this, I'll just show. This is my suggestion, purely my suggestion. You might want to take it, you might not want to take it. It's completely up to you. Uh, what just imagine he played this for whatever reason, and just okay, something he's playing something. What I suggest in such positions, you get this kind of a setup and you go for bishop to h6. Uh, you go for bishop to h6, or in case of black, you get your queen here, your bishop here somehow, and then you go for bishop to h3. This is what I suggest. And once you are faced with this as black, what should you capture? No, because that brings your queen too close to brings your opponent's queen too close to your own king, which is kind of dangerous because e5 can come, knight g5 can come, and at some points even bishop to c4 can come. So that is at some time dangerous. So you should just ignore this threat. Play something like e5, suppose. He captures and then you capture. And notice now, white can't touch you because your king is himself protecting the square. Another good setup when you want to just avoid this exchange. When you feel a bishop is a nice bishop, you want to avoid this kind of an exchange. You can play. Wait, I'll just show you how it goes. Yeah, here knight f6. You start preparing that setup immediately. You are in a great hurry to remove his bishop, and you decide to develop once, and you decide to play h6. So now he can't come here, and you're also preventing this. But if he plays queen to d2, if you count the number of attackers and defenders by the formula, which I have already taught, black can actually capture here. White can actually capture here. So here you got to play king h7. I know it looks crazy. It's extremely risky, but you notice that your bishop is nicely protected, and you usually play this when you think your bishop will later be useful on these diagonals. So that's when this is played. So that was it, I think. So some basic ideas from both sides. I would recommend you fianchettoing your bishop like this, which I said I'll discuss some basic ideas. So one of them is fianchettoing your bishops. It's extremely useful, and basically gaining control of central squares is always. You can go knight e2, knight f3. Watch out for the opening traps that I've shown you. Try not to fall into them yourself. It's extremely frustrating when it happens. Trust me, I have done this. So that was all, and we do need to see some chess.com features, so I'll be showing you those. So let's just expand this, and I think it's just a second. Should be somewhere here. Just a second. I'm really sorry. Should be in learn. Drills. Yeah, sorry, it's in puzzles. Yeah. So this you go to puzzles and you go to drills option. You click on drills. So you got some kind of drills here. So what are drills? Basically, suppose you've seen a lesson which I've already taught. You can go here and go to lessons and see lessons. And if you go to drills, let's see what you can do here. So suppose you're a basic beginner, which you probably are. You click on checkmates. You're learning different checkmate formulas. So I have taught you the two bishop. I've taught you all these mates, right? So I've taught you the two bishop mate. Or wait, let's not do this. Let's see the rook mate. I'm really sorry. So you are white. Computer is the highest level possible. So you have to checkmate your opponent, and once you complete these drills, you do get certain prizes if you complete a certain number of drills. So let's just like we got a chance. Let's just revise the checkmating patterns. So with the rook, grab hold of the open file. So that's what you do. He leaves this file, grab hold of the next file. Take opposition. He's interested in repeating. You play rook to rook to e5 is fine. Rook to e4 is also fine enough. Rook, what happens if he after rook to e4 he goes this side? I hope you remember the maneuver. Sorry, not this. It was this way. So you go back anywhere. It could be here as well. You block him, and his only moves are to go here, go this side, or to go behind. So going behind is not good for him. So he will definitely go this side, and you give him this check. So he has no choice but to leave, and you protect your rook. So you keep on gaining opposition. So now he seems to want to repeat. So you give him a check, go behind, you follow the formula, check, come here, and be careful not to stalemate him. So just gain opposition. Opposition seems interested in repeating. So you come back first. Okay, sorry, that was my bad. He escaped. Give him a check. Come down, corner the king. You do the maneuver. His only move is rook d1 and rook to h1 checkmate. So you can choose a drill, you can retry, you can analyze, you can go for another drill. Rook, like some drills are rook and rook versus knight. So let's check what other kinds of drills you have. Checkmates, endgame fundamentals, endgame practice, advantages, attacking, defending, odds, imbalances, and master games. So you can go through these games, and with this we have finished the 1e4 series, which we started I think 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. So tomorrow, next week, I'm planning to, before starting the 1d4 series, we can go through some basic tactics, which are extremely useful. So let's see what I'll definitely be back with the video next Sunday. So till then, stay safe. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.